Hi everyone, so we're going to continue here with our carbon cycle. We're going to finish up carbon cycle today. So again, if we remember some things that we emphasized yesterday, those really important equations are photosynthesis and cellular respiration equations are going to keep coming up with the carbon cycle because that's really how living organisms are going to be able to cycle this carbon through these living organisms, and then we also see some of the non-living contributions as well. So let's continue to talk about this. So for carbon cycle, we see that carbon is stored mostly in the bodies of organisms as fats, oils, and other molecules like carbon dioxide and sugars, and it can be released into the soil or air when an organism dies. So decomposition is also going to be a large factor here as well. So these molecules form deposits of coal, oil, or natural gases, and these are known as our fossil fuels. So a lot of the times when organisms die, if it's in favorable conditions, they'll be packed into the ground to make and form some sort of rock. And in these some sort of rocks or these fossils, we get a lot of our materials from that we use, our natural resources here of coal, oil, and gas. And these are all part of those carbon sinks that we talked about. So carbon sinks can be in plants, carbon sinks are in animals, and then we're also going to see carbon sinks in our rock, especially limestone that we talked about slightly yesterday. So these fossil fuels store carbon that are left over from the bodies of organisms that died millions of years ago. So a lot of the fossils that we were using might not be as interesting as maybe our dinosaur fossils, but they're still going to be used as if we were finding a dinosaur and using the rock that we have some decomposed animals in from millions and million years ago. So again, let's go through this one more time here. So if we're taking a look here and we want to start somewhere, we should probably start with some sort of photosynthesis. So getting that sunlight from the atmosphere, we also have a lot of carbon in our atmosphere. And the carbon in our atmosphere usually comes from different types of cellular respiration, either from plants or animals. We can also see that the burning of fossil fuels is going to help us put some carbon into the atmosphere, and some other things like volcano eruptions and other different geological processes like that. So all of those different processes are going to put carbon into the atmosphere, and photosynthesis is going to help take carbon out of the atmosphere and make it into a different carbon-based molecule, which is our carbohydrates or our sugars that it's making here. And from there, it can be converted into many different things. So remember that matter can't be created or destroyed. It's going to be converted into different things. So the photosynthesis is converting it into some sort of useful process that our consumers can use. But we're also going to see with decomposition and those animals breaking down into soil and having all of those organic carbons there, that we can make some of these fossil fuels. And then when we use those fossil fuels, it can come up and we can use it for combustion. But let's take it another direction. So if we take a look at our rivers and we see runoff and weathering and bringing some of that different rock and plant into our oceans, we have a whole carbon cycle that's going to happen within our oceans as well. So again, cellular respiration from both plants and animals are going to bring carbon into the atmosphere. The carbon in our atmosphere can be dissolved into our waters, and the plants can use that dissolved carbon dioxide to do photosynthesis. And both either our consumers will be eating those different plants, or those plants will die off themselves, and our consumers will as well. And we can also see decomposition happening at the bottoms of our oceans. So all of these things play some sort of contribution in our carbon cycle. It's really there's a lot of arrows here. So it's important to remember that two of our most important things here are going to be photosynthesis and cellular respiration. Also this fossil fuels and that burning of it, remember that's called combustion. That's another important word here. And then decomposition is going to be a really important word here as well. So all of these things are going to play a really important role in the movement of carbon in our different atmospheres here. So let's talk about how we can affect this cycle. So one way definitely is that burning of fossil fuels. The excessive burning is going to make a larger amount of release of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And if we remember, carbon dioxide is one of our greenhouse gases. So that's why the increased level, more than what naturally would occur, is going to contribute to climate change. So if before there was a nice balance between the amount of cellular respiration that was happening in the world and the amount of photosynthesis, and there was more of a balance, but with the increasing levels of humans burning a lot of these fossil fuels, there's way too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And because of this increase in greenhouse gases, along with water vapor and other gases, we're going to see that this warming is going to warm the earth. So remember, greenhouse gases are there to help control the temperature because they take in that infrared radiation. But when there's too many of them, we're going to see that this is contributing to this warming of the earth here. So that's where we're going to end today. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.